Captain Marcus Reed stood on the bridge of the Endeavour, watching the stars through the main viewing screen. He had been exploring space for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like this. The ship's computers were picking up a signal from somewhere in the darkness ahead. "Captain, we have a distress call coming in," said Communications Officer Rachel Torres. She turned from her station with a confused look on her face. "But sir, this signal is not human. The language is completely unknown." Marcus walked over to her station and listened to the strange sounds coming through the speakers. The voice was deep and rough, like gravel being crushed. Whatever was speaking did not sound friendly. "How far away is the signal coming from?" Marcus asked. "About 2 hours at full speed, sir," replied Navigator Tom Walsh. "The signal is getting weaker. Whatever is out there might not have much time left." Marcus looked around the bridge at his crew. They had been flying through empty space for 6 months, mapping new star systems for Earth. This was the first sign of intelligent life they had ever encountered. "Set course for the signal," Marcus ordered, "and wake up Dr. Watson. If we are about to meet aliens, I want our best scientist ready." 2 hours later, the Endeavour dropped out of faster-than-light travel near a massive alien ship. The vessel was enormous, at least 10 times larger than their own ship. It was dark gray with sharp edges, and looked like it was built for war. Dr. Emily Watson arrived on the bridge just as they got their first clear view of the alien ship. She was a small woman with short brown hair and bright green eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. "My God," she whispered, staring at the screen. "It is beautiful and terrifying at the same time." "The ship is badly damaged," reported Chief Engineer Lisa Park from her station. "Their power systems are failing, and I am reading multiple hull breaches. Whatever happened to them, it was not good." Marcus turned to his security chief. "Lieutenant Morrison, prepare a boarding team. Dr. Watson, you are coming with us. Rachel, keep trying to establish communication." Lieutenant Jake Morrison was a big man with muscles that showed even through his uniform. He had served in the Earth Defense Force before joining the Exploration Service. If there was going to be trouble, Marcus wanted him nearby. 30 minutes later, Marcus, Dr. Watson, and Lieutenant Morrison flew across the empty space between the ships in a small shuttle. The alien vessel grew larger and larger as they approached. Up close, they could see that it was covered in scorch marks and holes. "Whatever attacked this ship had serious firepower," Jake observed as they docked with the alien vessel. The airlock cycled open, and they stepped into the alien ship. The corridors were huge, clearly built for creatures much larger than humans. The walls were made of some kind of dark metal, and strange symbols were carved into the surfaces. "The atmosphere is breathable," Dr. Watson said, checking her scanner. "Oxygen levels are a bit low, but we should be fine without suits." They followed the corridor deeper into the ship, guided by the distress signal. The further they went, the more damage they saw. Walls were melted, floors were torn up, and there was evidence of some kind of battle. Finally, they reached what looked like the bridge of the alien ship. The room was massive, with control stations that seemed designed for giants. And standing in the center of the room was their first alien. The creature was nearly 9 feet tall with dark gray skin that looked like armor. Its arms ended in claws that could easily tear through metal, and its mouth was filled with rows of sharp teeth. Yellow eyes stared at the humans with what looked like surprise. "By the void," the alien said in heavily accented English. "What are these tiny creatures?" Dr. Watson stepped forward slowly, her hands raised to show she was not carrying weapons. "We received your distress signal. We are here to help." The alien laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "Help? You are barely larger than younglings. What could soft-skinned weaklings like you possibly do?" Before anyone could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the alien ship. The creature's yellow eyes went wide with fear. "No," it whispered. "They have found us. The Void Hunters are here." Through the damaged hull of the alien ship, they could see new vessels approaching. These ships were completely black and seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved with a fluid grace that was somehow more frightening than the angular alien warship. "Captain," came Rachel's voice over the communication system, "we have multiple unknown vessels approaching. They are powering weapons and moving to attack positions." The alien captain who had introduced himself as Throckval looked at the humans with desperate eyes. "Your ship, is it fast?" "Fast enough," Marcus replied. "Then flee, little ones. The Void Hunters show no mercy. They will destroy everything in this system." Marcus looked at his team, then made a decision that would change the course of human history. "Throckval, can your engines work?" "Barely. We might achieve half power for a few minutes. Then follow us," Marcus said. "Jake, get us back to the shuttle. Emily, grab any data you can about these Void Hunters." As they ran through the corridors of the alien ship, explosions began rocking both vessels. The Void Hunters had opened fire. Back. On the Endeavor, Marcus took command of the bridge. "Lisa, can you give me everything the engines have got?" "Already done, Captain, but those black ships are faster than us." Marcus studied the tactical display. The Void Hunter ships were closing in, their weapons charging for killing shots. The alien vessel was trying to follow, but it was badly damaged and slow. "Rachel, open a channel to the alien ship," Marcus ordered. "Throckval, I need you to trust me. When I give the signal, cut your engines and let yourself drift." "That will leave us defenseless," came the reply. "Trust me." Marcus waited until the Void Hunters were almost in weapons range, then gave his order. The alien ship went dark and began drifting like a dead hulk. At the same moment, Marcus ordered the Endeavor to change course directly toward the black ships. "Sir, we are flying straight at them," Tom warned. "I know. Lisa, prepare to overload our shield generators on my mark." The Void Hunter ships, expecting the humans to run, were caught off guard by the direct approach. At the last second, Marcus ordered the shield overload. The Endeavor's shields exploded outward in a burst of energy that temporarily blinded the black ship's sensors. In that moment of confusion, both human and alien ships escaped into faster-than-light travel. Hours later, in the safety of empty space, Throckval contacted the Endeavor again. His voice was different now, filled with something that might have been respect. "Captain Marcus Reed of the humans," he said formally. "I am Throckval, War Chief of the Vrexani Empire. You have saved my ship and crew with tactics I have never seen before. The Vrexani do not forget such debts." Dr. Watson looked at Marcus with excitement in her eyes. "Captain, this is the moment that changes everything. We have made contact with an alien civilization." Marcus nodded, but he was thinking about the black ships that had attacked them. Something told him that this first contact was going to lead to much bigger things than anyone could imagine. In the depths of space, the age of human isolation was ending, and somewhere in the darkness, ancient predators were about to learn that there was a new species in the galaxy, one that did not follow the old rules of hunter and prey. 3 days after the encounter with the Void Hunters, the Endeavor followed Throckval's ship to the edge of Vrexani space. Dr. Emily Watson stood in the observation deck, watching as a massive planet came into view. The world was covered in dark, cities that stretched across entire continents. "Welcome to Vrexith Prime," Throckval's voice came through the speakers. "Home world of the Vrexani Empire. Few alien species have ever seen this place and lived." Captain Marcus Reed joined Dr. Watson at the viewing window. "Are you ready for this, Emily? We are about to learn how the galaxy really works." "As ready as anyone can be for first contact with an empire of predators," she replied. Adjusting her scanner equipment, the Endeavor landed at a massive spaceport filled with ships from dozens of different worlds. Most of the vessels were clearly designed for war, with heavy armor and visible weapon systems. But there were also smaller, simpler ships that looked more like cargo vessels. Lieutenant Jake Morrison led the security team as they walked down the landing ramp. The spaceport was bustling with activity, but Marcus immediately noticed something strange about the crowd. There were 2 very different types of beings moving through the spaceport. The first group consisted of creatures like Throckval, tall, armored, clearly built for fighting. These beings walked with confidence and others moved out of their way. The second group was made up of smaller, weaker-looking aliens who kept their heads down and moved quickly through the crowds. "Dr. Watson," Marcus said quietly, "I think we are seeing something important here." Emily was already taking notes on her portable computer. The social structure is immediately obvious. Predator species and prey species, with a clear hierarchy. Throck Val approached them, flanked by 2 other Vrixani warriors. "Humans, you will come with me to the Great Hall. The War Council wishes to meet the strange aliens who saved a Vrixani ship." As they walked through the city, Dr. Michael Foster, the team's biologist, kept studying the Vrixani around them. Despite their impressive appearance, he was beginning to notice things that did not match their fearsome reputation. "Captain," he whispered to Marcus, "watch how they move. They are strong, but they are also slow. That armor makes them powerful but not agile." The great hall was enormous, with a ceiling that stretched up into darkness. Dozens of Vrixani warriors sat around a circular chamber, all of them staring at the humans with curious yellow eyes. At the center of the circle sat the largest Vrixani any of them had ever seen. His armor was covered in scars, and his claws looked like they had seen many battles. "I am Gorth Rex, Supreme War Chief of the Vrixani Empire," the huge alien announced. "Throckval tells me that you softskins somehow defeated Void Hunter ships. This seems impossible." Dr. Watson stepped forward. "Supreme War Chief, we did not defeat them, we simply confused them long enough to escape." "Escape?" Gorth Rex laughed, the sound echoing through the hall. "The Void Hunters do not allow escape. They are the most feared predators in this sector of the galaxy. Even we Vrixani avoid direct confrontation with them." Marine Colonel David Hayes, who had been quiet during the exchange, finally spoke up. "How do you usually fight them?" "Fight them?" another Vrixani warrior called out. "We do not fight the Void Hunters. We hide from them or run from them. They are apex predators, just as we are apex predators over the lesser species." Marcus felt a chill as he began to understand what they were learning. "Supreme War Chief, can you tell us about the galaxy? How many species are there? How do they interact?" Gorth Rex gestured to a large display screen that showed a map of local space. "The galaxy is simple, humans. There are predators, and there is prey. We Vrixani rule over 47 star systems and 32 prey species. The Scale Sworn control another region with their own prey worlds. The Hive Lords dominate the eastern sectors." "And the prey species?" Emily asked. "They serve," Gorth Rex said simply. "They mine our worlds, grow our food, build our ships. This is the natural order. The strong rule the weak." Dr. Foster raised his hand. "May we observe your training facilities? We are curious about Vrixani military methods." The request seemed to amuse Gorth Rex. "Very well. Perhaps seeing real warriors will help you understand your place in the galaxy." An hour later, Colonel Hayes watched Vrixani soldiers training in a massive arena. What he saw shocked him. Despite their fearsome appearance, the Vrixani fighting techniques were crude and simple. "They just charge forward and try to overpower their opponents," he said to Marcus through their private communication channel. "There is no strategy, no tactics. They rely entirely on being bigger and stronger." Meanwhile, Dr. Foster was studying captured weapons and armor in the Vrixani armory. "Captain, this technology is impressive but limited. Everything is designed for close combat between large, strong opponents. They have never needed to develop sophisticated long-range weapons or defensive systems." Engineer Lisa Park was examining Vrixani ships and finding similar limitations. "Their vessels are built like flying fortresses, but they are slow and use massive amounts of energy. They never developed efficient engines because they never needed to be fast." That evening, the humans were given quarters in the war hall and allowed to explore parts of the city. What they found confirmed their growing suspicions about Vrixani. Society. Dr. Watson interviewed several of the prey species who worked in the city. The aliens were clearly intelligent, but they had been prevented from developing their own technology or military capabilities. "The Vrixani have created a system where they never face real challenges," she reported to Marcus. "They rule through intimidation and size advantage, but they have never had to adapt or improve." Their observations were interrupted by emergency alarms throughout the city. Vrixani warriors rushed through the streets, and the humans could hear Gorth Rex shouting orders in the distance. Void Hunters. Throckval appeared at their quarters. A small group has attacked one of our outer defense stations. The garrison is requesting immediate support. Marcus made a quick decision. Throckval, our ship is fast and our crew is ready to help. Let us assist in the defense. The Vrixani war chief looked surprised. You would fight alongside us, even though you are clearly prey species? We are not prey, Colonel Hayes said firmly, and we do not abandon allies. 2 hours later, the Endeavor arrived at the defense station along with 3 Vrixani warships. The Void Hunter attack force consisted of 5 of the black ships, moving in perfect coordination as they systematically destroyed the station's defenses. They are too fast, the Vrixani commander reported. Our weapons cannot track them and they are picking us apart one system at a time. Marcus studied the tactical display and saw the problem immediately. The Vrixani ships were trying to fight, like they always fought, charging forward and using their heavy weapons at close range. But the Void Hunters were faster and stayed at long range using hit-and-run tactics. Colonel Hayes, take a team to the defense station, set up overlapping fields of fire and force them to come to you. Lisa, can you boost our sensor array to help coordinate the defense? Already working on it, Captain. The human tactics worked perfectly. Instead of chasing the fast-moving Void Hunter ships, they created a defensive perimeter that forced the attackers to either retreat or engage at close range. When the Void Hunters finally committed to a direct attack, they flew into a carefully planned crossfire. 3 of the 5 enemy ships were destroyed, and the other 2 retreated into the darkness of space. Gorth-Rex S voice came over the communication system filled with something that sounded like wonder. How did you do that? The Void Hunters have never been defeated in direct combat. We did not fight them the way they expected, Marcus replied. We used their speed against them by making them come to us. Back on Vrexith Prime, the humans found themselves treated very differently by the Vrixani. The warriors who had dismissed them as weak prey were now asking questions about human tactics and technology. But Dr. Watson was troubled by something she had observed during the battle. Captain, the Void Hunters were not fighting at full capacity. It was almost like they were testing us, learning about our capabilities. What are you thinking, Emily? I think we just announced our presence to every predator species in the galaxy, and I do not think they are going to ignore us much longer. In the depths of space, automated probes were already carrying news of the strange new aliens who had defeated Void Hunter ships. Ancient predator empires were beginning to take notice of humanity. The galaxy's balance of power was about to change forever. 6 months after first contact with the Vrixani, humanity was no longer alone in the galaxy, but they were also no longer safe. Admiral Robert Cruz stood on the bridge of the new human flagship, the Defiance, watching as emergency reports flooded in from across human space. 3 different alien fleets were moving toward human colonies, and none of them were coming in peace. Admiral, we have confirmation from our scouts, reported Intelligence Officer Commander Alex Thompson. The Hive Lords, Scalesworn and Void Hunters have formed an alliance. They are calling it the Predator Coalition. Robert studied the tactical display showing enemy fleet movements. Each alien force was massive, easily outnumbering the entire human fleet. How long until they reach New Texas? 18 hours, sir. The colony has 40,000 civilians. Governor Tom Wheeler of New Texas had been preparing his world for this moment ever since the first alien contact. The colony world was humanity's newest settlement, with wide-open plains perfect for farming, and small cities scattered across 2 continents. Amy, are the defensive positions ready? Tom asked his defense coordinator, Amy Sullivan. Amy nodded grimly. As ready as we can make them. But Tom, we are facing 3 species that have been conquering worlds for thousands of years. The colonists are mostly farmers and miners, not soldiers. Then we better hope Dr. Mason's research pays off. Tom replied. Dr. Jennifer Mason had spent the last 6 months studying every piece of alien technology and biology that humanity had collected. Her laboratory on New Texas was filled with captured weapons, armor pieces, and biological samples from all 3 species in the Predator Coalition. The key insight, she explained to the colony's defense council, is that each predator species is a specialist. They evolved to dominate specific environments and prey types. The Hive Lords work as a collective consciousness, perfect for overwhelming scattered opponents. The Scale-Sworn are territorial hunters who use fear and intimidation. The Void Hunters are energy-based beings who drain power from their victims. Engineer Lisa Park had arrived on New Texas 2 weeks earlier with a team of technicians. We have been building countermeasures based on Dr. Mason's research. The question is whether our theories will work in actual combat. The alien fleets arrived exactly on schedule. First came the Hive Lords, their ships looking like massive insects made of metal and crystal. Behind them were the Scale-Sworn vessels, angular and aggressive with weapon arrays that could level cities. Finally, the Void Hunter ships appeared like holes in space itself, absorbing light and energy. The Hive Lord commander broadcast a message to New Texas. Humans, you will surrender. Immediately, your species has been marked for elimination by the Galactic Predator Council. Resistance will only increase your suffering. Governor Wheeler responded from the colony's command center. This is Governor Tom Wheeler of New Texas. We reject your demands. This world is under human protection. Foolish prey, came the reply. You have no idea what you face. The first wave of the attack began with the Hive Lords. Thousands of their fighter craft swarmed toward the planet like angry insects. Their strategy was simple: overwhelm the defenders with sheer numbers while their collective consciousness coordinated perfect attacks. But Dr. Mason had discovered something important about the Hive Lords during her research. Their collective consciousness was also their greatest weakness. Now, Lisa, Amy ordered. Engineer Park activated a series of signal generators hidden around the colony. The devices began broadcasting a specific frequency that interfered with the Hive Lord collective consciousness. Instead of working as one mind, the alien fighters suddenly found themselves confused and unable to coordinate. Hive Lord ships began colliding with each other as their pilots lost the mental connection that guided their movements. Within minutes, nearly half their attack force was destroyed by their own confusion. Impossible, the Hive Lord commander transmitted. How did prey species learn to disrupt our consciousness? The Scale-Sworn attacked next, confident that their individual hunting skills would succeed where the collective approach had failed. Their ships swept down toward the colony cities, using their intimidation tactics to create fear among the defenders. But the humans were ready for this too. Dr. Mason had learned that Scale-Sworn were highly territorial, viewing any challenge to their dominance as a personal insult that must be answered immediately. The human defenders began broadcasting false signals that made each Scale-Sworn ship think that other Scale-Sworn ships were trying to claim their hunting territory. Within hours, the Scale-Sworn fleet was fighting itself as individual commanders attacked their own allies to defend their territorial claims. They are tearing each other apart, reported Captain Sarah Mitchell from her observation post. The Scale-Sworn are so focused on their territorial disputes that they have forgotten about us entirely. The Void Hunters were the last to attack, and they were the most dangerous. These energy beings could drain power from any technology they touched, leaving their enemies helpless. Their ships moved toward the colony's power generators, planning to leave the humans in darkness. But humanity's countermeasure for the Void Hunters was the most clever of all. Instead of trying to protect their power sources, the humans had prepared a trap. Engineer Park had built a series of fake power generators that were actually massive energy storage devices. When the Void Hunters tried to drain them, they got much more energy than they expected. The Void Hunter ships are overloading, reported Dr. Mason from her monitoring station. They cannot handle the massive energy surge we are feeding them. One by one, the Void Hunter vessels began exploding. As they absorbed too much power, their own feeding mechanism had become a weakness that the humans exploited perfectly. Within 12 hours of the first attack, the Predator Coalition fleet was in ruins. The Hive Lords had lost most of their ships to confusion and friendly fire. The Scale-Sworn were still fighting each other over territorial claims. The Void Hunters had been destroyed by their own energy absorption abilities. Admiral Cruz arrived with the human fleet, just as the last enemy ships were retreating or exploding. New Texas Colony, this is Admiral Cruz. Report your status. Governor, Wheeler's voice came through clearly. Admiral, we have successfully defended the colony. Enemy losses are catastrophic. Human casualties are minimal. The victory at New Texas sent shockwaves throughout the galactic community. For the first time in recorded history, prey species had not just survived an attack by multiple predator fleets, they had completely defeated them. Dr. Mason compiled her after-action report with growing excitement. Admiral, we have proven that human tactics can overcome any predator species. The key is understanding that they are all specialists. They have evolved to be perfect at one thing, but that perfection is also a limitation. What do you mean? Admiral Cruz asked. Predator species never face real challenges to their dominance, so they never develop adaptability. They do the same thing over and over because it has always worked. But humans are generalists. We can adapt to any situation and turn our enemies' strengths into weaknesses. Commander Thompson brought disturbing news from his intelligence network. Admiral, the defeat at New Texas has caused panic among the predator species. They are mobilizing their entire empires. Every major predator faction in the galaxy is now moving toward human space. How many ships are we talking about? Admiral Cruz asked. Thousands, sir. Maybe tens of thousands. They are calling it the Great Hunt. Their goal is to eliminate humanity completely before we can spread further into the galaxy. Admiral Cruz looked at the tactical displays showing massive enemy fleets converging on human space. Any normal species would have been terrified, but humans were not normal. Dr. Mason, how quickly can we share your countermeasure technologies with all human colonies? 2 weeks, Admiral. Lisa, can we modify our ship designs to use these new tactics? Already working on it, sir. Then, gentlemen and ladies, it appears we are about to find out if humanity really deserves to be called an apex predator species. The Battle of New Texas was over, but the war for humanity's survival was just beginning. In the depths of space, ancient predator empires were preparing for the largest military campaign in galactic history. They still believed they were hunting prey. They had no idea that they were about to become the hunted. 8 months after the victory at New Texas, humanity had transformed from a peaceful exploration society into the most feared military force in their sector of the galaxy. But they were still outnumbered by thousands to one. Captain Sarah Mitchell guided her stealth ship, the Shadow, through the outer regions of scale-sworn space. Her mission was simple: find enemy supply lines and destroy them. Her methods were anything but simple. Captain, we have located a major supply convoy, reported her tactical officer, Lieutenant Brian Foster. 15 cargo ships with 6 escort vessels. Sarah studied the tactical display. The traditional approach would be to attack the convoy directly, but humans had learned that traditional approaches were for traditional predators. Brian, scanned those cargo ships. What are they carrying? Food supplies for scale-sworn military bases, ma'am. Enough to feed 3 invasion fleets for a month. Sarah smiled. Perfect. Patch me through to Admiral Cruz. Admiral Robert Cruz was coordinating the human war effort from his command ship deep in human space. Every day brought reports of massive enemy fleets moving toward human colonies, but every day also brought news of successful human raids against enemy territories. Sarah, what have you found? He asked when her transmission came through. Admiral, I have a scale-sworn supply convoy, but I am not going to destroy it. I am going to improve it. Dr. Patricia Rogers had been developing psychological warfare, techniques specifically designed for each alien species. Her laboratory had become humanity's most dangerous weapon, creating ways to turn predator instincts against themselves. The scale-sworn, she explained to Sarah's team over the communication link, are obsessed with territorial dominance. They mark their territory with pheromone signals that tell other scale-sworn who owns what hunting grounds. So what are you suggesting? Sarah asked. Replace their food supplies with supplies marked with rival clan pheromones. When the different scale-sworn military units eat the food, they will smell like they belong to enemy clans. Sarah's team spent 6 hours carefully replacing the cargo in the scale-sworn supply ships with identical supplies that had been treated with pheromone markers from rival scale-sworn clans. The enemy escorts never noticed the small human ship that shadowed them invisibly. 3 days later, the results exceeded all expectations. When scale-sworn forces from different clans encountered each other, They immediately smelled the rival, clan markers, and assumed they were facing territorial invaders. Massive battles erupted across scale-sworn space as different military units attacked each other. "Sarah, you have started a civil war," Admiral Cruz reported with amazement. "Scale-sworn fleets that were heading toward human space are now turning back to fight each other." Meanwhile, Colonel Ryan Brooks was leading a very different kind of mission deep in Hive Lord territory. His team of Special Forces soldiers had been studying Hive Lord behavior for months, looking for weaknesses in their collective consciousness system. "Remember," he told his team as they prepared to infiltrate a major Hive Lord military base, "we are not here to destroy anything. We are here to make friends." The Hive Lord base was a massive complex built like a giant insect hive, with thousands of alien workers moving through tunnels and chambers. The collective consciousness allowed them to work with perfect efficiency, but it also meant that any disruption could spread throughout the entire system. Colonel Brooks and his team had brought a special gift for the Hive Lords, a small group of rescued alien prisoners who had been slaves of various predator species. These aliens had been treated badly for so long that they were grateful to anyone who showed them kindness. Phase 1. Brooks whispered to his team as they released the grateful aliens near the Hive Lord base. The rescued aliens were naturally afraid of the Hive Lords, but they had been coached by human psychologists. When Hive Lord workers found them, the aliens did not run or fight. Instead, they offered to work for the Hive Lords in exchange for protection. The Hive Lord collective consciousness was confused by this response. They were used to prey species that either fought or fled. They had no protocols for dealing with aliens who voluntarily wanted to join their society. Phase 2. Brooks ordered. His team began broadcasting subtle signals that enhanced the natural gratitude and loyalty feelings of the rescued aliens. The emotions were picked up by the Hive Lord collective consciousness and began spreading through their entire society. Within days, Hive Lord workers throughout their empire began experiencing unfamiliar emotions: gratitude, loyalty, and the desire to protect weaker beings. These feelings were completely alien to their predator instincts, causing massive confusion in their collective consciousness. Hive-Lord fleets that had been preparing to attack human worlds suddenly found themselves unable to focus on their military objectives. Their collective consciousness was being overwhelmed by emotions that their species had never evolved to handle. The most ambitious human operation was being carried out by Admiral Julia Santos, who was leading a fleet toward the heart of Void Hunter territory. The Void Hunters were the most dangerous of all the predator species because they could drain energy from any technology they encountered. "Admiral," reported her science officer, Dr. Mark Chen, "we are approaching the Void Hunter home system. Our scouts report at least 50 of their ships guarding the system." Julia had been planning this mission for months, working with the best human scientists and engineers. "Dr. Chen, are the energy feedback systems ready?" "Yes, ma'am. Every ship in the fleet has been equipped with the new technology." The human fleet entered the Void Hunter system and immediately came under attack. The dark ships of the Void Hunters surrounded them, preparing to drain all power from the human vessels and leave them helpless in space. But the humans had spent months preparing for exactly this scenario. Instead of trying to protect their power systems, they had modified them to work in reverse. "All ships activate feedback systems," Julia ordered. When the Void Hunters tried to drain energy from the human ships, they instead received massive power surges that overloaded their energy-based bodies. The predators who had spent millennia feeding on the energy of other species suddenly found themselves choking on more power than they could handle. The entire Void Hunter home fleet was destroyed in less than an hour, not by human weapons, but by their own feeding instincts turned against them. Commander Alex Thompson brought the results of all these operations to Admiral Cruz in his daily intelligence briefing. "Admiral, the numbers are remarkable. The Scalesworn have lost 60% of their military capability to internal conflicts. The Hive Lords are completely paralyzed by emotional confusion. The Void Hunters have lost their entire home fleet and most of their deep space forces." Admiral Cruz studied the galactic map, watching as enemy positions collapsed throughout their region of space. "Alex, What are we seeing here? This is more than just military victories. Sir, I think we are witnessing the collapse of the galactic predator system. These species have dominated the galaxy for millions of years by being perfect apex predators, but they never learned to adapt because they never faced real challenges. Dr. Jennifer Mason joined the briefing with her latest analysis. Admiral, I have been studying the historical records we captured from various alien species. This pattern has happened before. Every few thousand years, the established predator species eliminate any new species that might challenge them. But humanity is different, Admiral Cruz asked. Completely different. Previous challenger species were other specialized predators trying to claim territory through brute force. We are the first generalist species they have encountered. We do not try to outfight them. We turn their own strengths into weaknesses. The communication system activated with an urgent message from Earth. President Elizabeth Hayes appeared, on the screen broadcasting from the Capitol. Admiral Cruz, we have received formal surrender requests from the Scale-Sworn, Hive Lords, and remaining Void Hunter factions. They are asking for terms. Admiral Cruz felt a moment of satisfaction, but he knew this was only the beginning. Madam President, what are your orders? Admiral, we are not conquerors, we are liberators. Accept their surrenders, but make it clear that we expect them to release all prey species under their control. The age of predator dominance is ending. Throughout the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. Humanity had defeated 3 major predator empires without conquering a single world. Instead, they had turned the predator's own instincts against them and liberated millions of prey species. But in the deepest regions of space, ancient powers that made the Scale-Sworn and Hive Lords look like children were beginning to take notice. The galactic core empires, older and more powerful than anything humanity had yet encountered, were preparing to respond to this new threat. The hunt was far from over. It was about to become much more dangerous. 1 year after humanity's first victory, the galaxy was transforming in ways that had not been seen for millions of years. Former prey species were building their own technologies, forming their own governments, and joining together in a confederation that was growing stronger every day. General Kevin Anderson stood on the observation deck of the Liberation ship Harmony, watching as another world celebrated its freedom. Below them, the planet Keith 7 was holding its first democratic elections after 3,000 years of Hive Lord rule. General, we have reports coming in from across the galaxy, said his aide, Commander Nancy Clark. 17 more worlds have declared independence from their predator overlords. The liberation movement is spreading faster than we can keep track of. Kevin nodded, but his expression was troubled. Nancy, this is happening too quickly. The galactic core empires are not going to ignore what we have done here. He was right to be worried. Deep in the center of the galaxy, where the oldest and most powerful civilizations ruled vast empires, ancient beings were finally taking notice of the disturbances in their outer territories. The Eternal Dominion had ruled the galactic core for over 10 million years. Their species, the Kethmore, were not just apex predators. They were the apex predators that had eliminated every other apex predator species that had ever challenged them. Supreme Overlord Vash Keth was older than some solar systems. He had personally overseen the destruction of 47 different challenger species throughout galactic history. When the reports about humanity reached his throne chamber, he was not impressed. Another upstart prey species, he said to his war council. They have defeated some of our frontier predator species through clever tricks. This is not unusual. We will eliminate them as we have eliminated all the others. But Vashketh's intelligence? Commander Overlord Zeth Val brought disturbing news. Supreme One, this human species is different from previous challengers. They are not trying to claim territory or build their own predator empire. Instead, they are liberating prey species and building alliances. Irrelevant, Vashketh replied. Prey species cannot build meaningful military forces. We will crush this rebellion and restore the proper galactic order. Back in human space, Dr. Stephen Morris was making discoveries that would change everything. His research team had been studying ancient galactic history using data recovered from dozens of different alien civilizations. Admiral Cruz, he reported from his laboratory on Earth. I have found something incredible. The galactic ecosystem has been artificially maintained for millions of years. Admiral Robert Cruz listened from his flagship as Dr. Morris explained his findings. The galactic core empires have been systematically preventing evolution. Every time a species shows potential for advanced technology or tactical thinking, they eliminate them. They have created an artificial ecosystem where only specialized predators can exist. What about humanity? Admiral Cruz asked. We succeeded, because we evolved in complete isolation. By the time they discovered us, we had already reached our full potential. We are the first generalist apex predator species they have encountered in millions of years. The implications were staggering. Humanity was not just another challenger species. They were something that the galactic core empires had spent millions of years preventing from evolving. The first major test came when a Kethmore fleet arrived at the edge of human space. Their ships were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Massive vessels that seemed to bend space around them, powered by technologies that violated several laws of physics. The Kethmore fleet was led by War Commander Geth Zor, a being who had conquered entire galactic sectors. He broadcast a message to all human colonies. Primitive humans, you have disrupted the galactic order for the last time. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and you will suffer for millennia before we grant you the mercy of extinction. President Elizabeth Hayes responded from Earth. Commander Geth Zor, humanity rejects your demands. We offer you one chance to withdraw peacefully. The Kethmore commander laughed, a sound like stars exploding. You offer us terms? You are prey. We are apex. This conversation is over. The battle that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. The Kethmore fleet was equipped with weapons that could destroy entire star systems, shields that seemed impenetrable, and tactics refined, over millions of years of conquest. But humanity had learned something during their year of liberation campaigns. They were no longer fighting alone. Admiral Cruz, this is Fleet Commander Throckval of the Frivreksani, came a transmission from a massive allied fleet. The former prey species of 17 worlds request permission to join the battle. Permission, granted, Throckval. Welcome to the fight. The battle was joined by thousands of ships from dozens of species. Former slaves and prey animals fought alongside humans using technologies and tactics that the Kethmore had never encountered. The galaxy's oppressed had finally found leaders who could unite them. But the real surprise came from Commander Brian Foster, who was leading a special mission deep behind enemy lines. His target was not a ship or a base, but the Kethmore themselves. Dr. Patricia Rogers had made a crucial discovery about the ancient galactic empires. Brian, the Kethmore have ruled for so long that they have never faced real resistance. Their entire civilization is built on the assumption that they are naturally superior to all other life forms. What are you suggesting? Brian asked. Challenge that assumption. Show them that they are not naturally superior. Show them that they can lose. Brian's mission was the most dangerous ever attempted by humans. He led a small team aboard the Kethmore flagship, not to destroy it, but to capture its commander alive. The infiltration took 12 hours of careful movement through a ship designed by beings who thought they were invincible. When Brian's team finally reached the command center, they found War Commander Geth Zor directing the battle against the human fleet. Impossible, Geth Zor said when he saw the humans. You are prey. You cannot be here. Commander, Brian said calmly, you are now a prisoner of the human liberation fleet. Your ship has been captured, your fleet is defeated, and your empire is about to learn that apex predators can be replaced. The psychological impact of capturing a Kethmore war commander alive sent shockwaves through the galactic core. For the first time in millions of years, the ancient empires realized they might not be invincible. Admiral Cruz used the moment to broadcast a message throughout the galaxy. 2. All species, predator and prey alike. The age of dominance through strength alone is ending. Humanity offers alliance to any species willing to abandon the old ways. We offer liberation to any species still enslaved by predator empires, and we offer this warning to any species that chooses to continue the cycle of oppression. You will discover that apex predators can be hunted too. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Across the galaxy, prey species rose in rebellion. Former predator species began switching sides, choosing alliance over domination. Even some members of the galactic core empires began questioning their ancient assumptions about superiority and natural order. But Supreme Overlord Vashketh was not ready to surrender millions of years of dominance. He ordered the mobilization of the entire Kethmore military, a force that had never been fully deployed because no challenge had ever been serious enough to require it. "Gather the great fleet," he commanded. "Every ship, every weapon, every warrior. We will end this rebellion once and for all. The humans will learn why we have ruled the galaxy for 10 million years." The great fleet began moving toward human space. Millions of ships carrying weapons that could crack planets and technologies that seemed like magic. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. But humanity was ready. They had spent a year learning that the key to defeating apex predators was not to outfight them, but to change the rules of the game entirely. "Admiral," reported Dr. Jennifer Mason from her research station, "the Great Fleet is moving in perfect formation, following tactics that have worked for millions of years. They expect us to meet them in traditional battle." Admiral Cruz smiled. "Then let's give them something they have never seen before, something no predator species has ever tried." "What do you have in mind, sir?" "We are not going to fight the Great Fleet, Jennifer. We are going to recruit it." The final battle for the galaxy was about to begin, and humanity was planning something that would either liberate the galaxy forever or destroy it completely. 5 years after humanity first encountered Throckval in the darkness of space, Captain Jason Miller stood on the bridge of the Apex, the most advanced ship in the human fleet. Around him, the crew worked quietly as they prepared for humanity's greatest challenge yet. "Captain, long-range sensors are detecting the Great Fleet," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Susan Davis. "The numbers are beyond anything we have ever seen. Millions of ships, sir." Jason studied the display showing the approaching Kethmore armada. Each ship was larger than most human colonies, armed with weapons that could destroy entire solar systems. By every measure of military strength, humanity should have been preparing to surrender or flee. Instead, they were preparing to do something that no species in galactic history had ever attempted. "Lisa, are the communication arrays ready?" Jason asked his chief engineer. Engineer Lisa Park, now promoted to fleet engineer, nodded from her station. "All systems are operational, Captain. We can broadcast to every ship in the Great Fleet simultaneously." President Elizabeth Hayes had arrived from Earth aboard the diplomatic vessel Unity. As the elected leader of the Human Liberation Confederation, she would deliver humanity's final message to the galactic core empires. "Madam President," Jason said as she entered the bridge, "we are ready when you are." Elizabeth looked out at the approaching Great Fleet through the main viewing screen. In the distance, millions of alien warships blocked out the stars themselves. It was the most terrifying sight any human had ever witnessed. "Open the channel," she ordered. Throughout the Great Fleet, every Kethmore commander received the same transmission. The message came not from a military leader preparing for battle, but from a small human woman speaking calmly from the bridge of a single ship. "Supreme Overlord Vashketh, commanders of the Great Fleet, warriors of the Kethmore Empire," Elizabeth began. "I am President Elizabeth Hayes of the Human Liberation Confederation. I come to offer you a choice." In his massive flagship at the center of the Great Fleet, Supreme Overlord Vashketh was amused by the transmission. "A choice? You are prey offering choices to apex predators? This is entertainment." "Supreme Overlord," Elizabeth continued, "for 10 million years your empire has ruled through strength and dominance. You have convinced yourselves that this makes you naturally superior to all other life forms. Today I offer you the chance to discover what you really are." Dr. Mark Chen, now serving as humanity's chief scientific advisor, activated a series of displays that were transmitted to every ship in the Great Fleet. The data showed detailed analysis of Kethmore biology, technology, and society. "Your species," Elizabeth explained, "evolved on a world where you had no natural predators and unlimited resources. You never learned to adapt because you never needed to. Your technology is impressive but limited because you never faced challenges that required innovation. Your military tactics are ancient because they have always worked against weaker opponents. Vashketh's amusement was turning to anger. Prey does not lecture predators about evolution. You are not predators, Elizabeth replied. You are parasites. For millions of years you have prevented other species from reaching their potential because you feared what they might become. You have created an artificial ecosystem where only you can thrive, and you have convinced yourselves this makes you superior. The real shock came when General Amanda Foster activated the second part of humanity's plan. Throughout the Great Fleet, Kethmore warriors began receiving personal messages from members of their own species. Supreme Overlord, came a voice that Vashketh recognized with horror. This is Science Overlord Kethnal. I am speaking to you from the human world called Earth. Science Overlord Kethnal had been captured during an earlier battle, but instead of being killed or tortured, he had been offered something no Kethmore had ever experienced, the chance to learn from species they had considered inferior. Supreme One, Kethnal continued, the humans have shown me things about our own species that we never understood. We have been living in an artificial bubble of superiority for so long that we have forgotten how to grow, how to change, how to become better than we are. Similar messages came from dozens of captured Kethmore officers and scientists, all speaking from various human worlds where they had been studying alongside former prey species. They spoke of discoveries, innovations, and technologies that their own empire had never developed because it had never needed to. This is impossible, Vashketh declared. These are tricks, deceptions meant to confuse our warriors. President Hayes activated the final part of humanity's plan. Supreme Overlord, we offer your warriors a demonstration. Any ship in your fleet may approach our position and test their strength against ours. We will not use weapons or shields. We will simply show you what humans have learned during our 5 years in space. The challenge was too insulting for any Kethmore warrior to ignore. War Commander Zelthfor, captain of the battleship Eternal Fury, moved his massive vessel toward the small human fleet. I will crush these prey with my bare claws, Zelthfor announced as his ship approached the human position. But as his battleship drew closer, something unexpected happened. The Eternal Fury began experiencing system failures throughout the ship. Navigation systems went offline, weapons powered down, and life support systems began fluctuating. What is happening? Zelthfor demanded of his engineering staff. The answer came from Dr. Patricia Rogers, broadcasting from her research vessel. Commander Zelthfor, your ship is not being attacked. It is being recruited. Throughout the galaxy, humanity had been placing microscopic devices on every piece of Kethmore technology they encountered. The devices were not weapons, they were teachers. When activated, they began showing the Kethmore exactly how their own technology could be improved. Your weapon systems could be 30% more efficient, the devices reported to the Kethmore engineers. Your engines could be twice as fast. Your shields could be impenetrable instead of merely strong. We can show you how. For the first time in millions of years, Kethmore warriors were seeing their own technology through the eyes of species they had dismissed as inferior. The results were devastating to their sense of superiority. Supreme Overlord, reported one of Zelthfor's engineers, the human modifications work. Our systems are operating at efficiency levels we never thought possible. But the real transformation was happening among the Kethmore warriors themselves. As they worked alongside the teaching devices, they began experiencing something their species had not felt for millennia: curiosity, wonder, and the desire to learn. Within hours, dozens of ships from the Great Fleet were requesting permission to approach the human position. Their commanders were not coming to attack. They were coming to learn. Supreme Overlord Vashketh watched in horror as his perfect military force began falling apart, not through conquest or destruction, but through education and willing conversion. This ends now, he declared, powering up his flagship's most devastating weapons. I will destroy every human ship and restore order to my fleet. But when he gave the order to fire, nothing happened. His own crew, inspired by what they had learned from the human teaching devices, refused to carry out the command. Supreme One, said his weapons officer, We cannot destroy beings who have offered to help us become better than we are. President Hayes spoke directly to Vashketh over the communication system. Supreme Overlord, your choice is simple. You can continue to cling to an empire built on oppression and stagnation, ruling over species that will never be allowed to reach their potential. Or you can join us in building something new, a galaxy where every species can grow, learn, and contribute to something greater than themselves. You are asking me to abandon 10 million years of dominance, Vashketh replied. I am asking you to trade dominance for partnership, stagnation for growth, and fear for hope.